next we have, um, is it Rahima? Rahima?
Rahima.
Rahima. Okay.
Yeah.
You said, my question is, how can I ask for what I'm worth? I run a tutorial center in Michigan. I want to become a writing coach. However, I've yet to be successful at selling that service. I'm stuck teaching middle school math. Okay. Well, first, oftentimes the problem appears most clearly in the questions we ask about it. That we think we're solving the problem, but the question itself is another vector for the problem to bedevil us. So the question of how can I ask for what I'm worth is a premise I would question. And you can, if you just Google Tad Hargrave charging what you're worth is bullshit, you'll see I did a video about it. I wrote an article about it. So I won't get into that too much, other than to say this formulation of charging what we're worth, I think, is a deeply troubled and troubling uh, preposition or proposition. It's the premise of it is leads us down dark alleyways with no exit. Um, okay, but in terms of charging an amount that feels right, charging an amount that feels good, well, it's fundamentally it comes down to this. There's three things that need to be established for, well, okay, there's three levels of marketing, but there's three levels of the middle piece I want to talk about. First thing you got to do is you just got to get people's attention. That's rule number one of any kind of marketing. People have to know you exist. It's That's the fun one. Yeah. Rule number two is your marketing has to help the filtering so that you can both mutually understand, is this a fit or not? Is this a good match? And number three, it's got to lower the risk of them taking that first step with you. So getting their attention really comes down to, there's a lot of word of mouth in there. Um, but a lot of it comes down to, who am I trying to reach? Getting whose attention? So who are you trying to reach right now? Who do you want to be coming in? Okay, so you want to become a writing coach. So who do you want to coach with their writing? Like, what kind of work?
I want to coach young adult authors who want to write young adult novels. I just wrote my own young adult novel and just published it, and I've been teaching writing for over 20 years, but mostly in public schools and always like on a paycheck, not for myself. So I have experience. I have a PhD in communications, but it's
Yeah.
been hard starting my own business, and I've gone into the math niche because that's like very needed right now after the pandemic. And I taught myself math so I could teach math, but I my heart is in writing.
Okay. So then the first question is, okay, so we know it's people who want to write young adult novels, and probably young adults who want to write young adult novels. When you say young adults, how old are we talking?
So people who young adult novels are generally for people who are 12 to 18, but the young adults who would probably write those books are between 20 and 30. Maybe older. I mean, anyone who wants to write it, I would be open to working with them. But I definitely want to encourage people early in their careers to write a novel.
So then when I'm looking at a target market, there's three main criteria I use. First of all, is it clear? Like, do I know if I'm in that group or not? So yes, check. I think you would know if you're writing that kind of book or not. Number two, are there enough of them who can afford to pay you full price? So that's a
That's the problem.
yeah. So it maybe not. I don't know. I just don't know that industry. But that does become a question. Are there enough people in this niche? And that's just, you'd have to poke around and do some research and see what you find out. And number three, and this is the biggest trouble, is where do you find them? Or can you find them? And so people who want to write these kind of books, where do they hang out? Now you may have to broaden and just say, okay, if somebody wants to write a book, where would they go? What are the hubs? Who would they be connected to? Um, so yeah, so that becomes the very first thing in terms of getting their attention, is the question, where do I find them? Because if we can't think of any hubs, if we can't think of any events, locations, groups, colleagues, individuals, publications, online or offline, hashtags, social media accounts, authors. I don't know. If we can't think of anything, then it's a non-starter. But if you poke around for a while and you say, you know what, I can actually think of a number of places I could find them. That's step number one. But then we got to do the filtering. Well, I mean, then you just get in front of them. Yeah. Then and the thing I would recommend for almost all of you, and I'll talk about this probably right after this coaching session, is this idea of doing a signature workshop, an hour-long presentation where you get in front of them and you just talk about what you do and share your approach. So if you can find hubs, if you can get in front of them, share what you do, that'll be a big win. But still, then you've got to filter. There's 3 levels of filtering, and so for everyone, this is what they are. Number 1 is relevance. Is this helping me with what I'm struggling with most? So, okay, you're going to help me write this book, and the thing I'm struggling with is XYZ, and you can help with that. Great. Second is credibility. So they have to trust you. They have to, yeah, why should I listen to you? Why should I trust you? And that comes down to what I call point of view marketing.
Mhm.
Then the third is value, and that comes down to the price and the return on investment. Is it worth it? I'm going to spend XYZ, I'm going to get ABC. Is it worth it? Those 3 things need to be established. And then the last is you got to lower the risk of taking the first step. That they're going to, why would they just leap into spending all this money with you? There may be softer, gentler ways. So this today is an example of that. Free First Thursday. People not so sure they want to join my membership or book a puttering session with me, want to check me out first. It makes total sense. This gives a very low risk way to do that. But there's lots of other ways one could do it. So that's the big picture. So how does that all land? What comes up for you as you hear all that?
Thank you.
So how does that land for you? What is there anything that comes up as you hear that, or any questions?
I guess what I'm wondering is I've been doing some marketing on Facebook and Instagram. My website's just mediocre, that's honest. But I've been doing some putting it out there that I want to do this kind of work. And I only get people who are either willing to do one-offs or are happy to do it for free. But writers tend to be really they don't want to pay a lot of money, especially if they're creative writers. I think if they're writing for business, they know that there's it's going to further their
Yeah. And so
business.
this becomes a question about ideal client.
Okay.
I've got a webinar on this on my website you can check out. Just search, you can find it pretty easy, but it's called the Ideal Client Webinar. Because for
Okay.
you, my guess is your ideal client, your perfect client is somebody who's like, I don't want to just write one book as a hobby. I want to write a bunch of books. I've got so many books in me and I just need some help getting started and beginning to craft them. And, I need some guidance on the way, but this is going to be my career. I want to get a lot of books out. That's probably a more ideal client than, I don't know, I've got this one little story I'm working on and that's about it. So then that can become a part of the filtering. Yeah. And so check out that webinar, and also on YouTube, just search on YouTube, Tad Hargrave, the stadium questions, and that'll give you some ideas maybe of how you can help hone and clarify. The clearer we are about who we're trying to reach, the easier everything becomes. When we're a little too nebulous about it, we can end up getting clients that just aren't a fit, and there's an opportunity cost there because now you're spending time there that you could be spending with a better client who could give you better word of mouth as a result of the benefit they get, or we spend our time marketing trying to get new people. And yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.